everyone. It's 4 p.m. and thank you for staying back. I'm Namrita, guys, and I'm going to be your panel host today. Well, if you all attended 2023 conference, then you all might know that we were giving out some stress balls because, of course, we have a little bit of stress in our lives. You know, we do testing. But I just want to ask, before we get started, I want to ask two questions. The first one is, how many of us over here, we use some or the other automation tool? Daily, weekly, yes, pretty much 80% in the room. Great, okay. And how many of us see that test automation is the future? Pretty much everyone. We saw in all those workshops, those sessions before us, right? Excellent. And how many of us over here know Selenium and are expert in Selenium? Okay, great, because I'm looking for people to hire with Selenium. Kidding. Well, let's get started with our panel. Our topic is, it's a long topic, so I'm going to read it out. Building team buy-in for a new test automation framework or tool. And we have got some fabulous panelists over here. I'm going to very quickly introduce our panelists. So we have with us Sriram Krishnan, Quality Evangelist, Axel Q. Sriram is a change and transformation agent who has performed many roles across software development, testing, people leadership, architecture, and management functions. He has spent a lot of his time driving digital transformation through Agile, DevOps, and automation in organizations. We have got Sharda Ramesh, Software Engineering Chapter Lead. Sharda Ramesh is a dynamic leader in the tech industry with a deep expertise in test automation, AI, and delivery excellence. Currently leading the quality engineering uplift initiatives at Telstra, Sharda plays a vital or pivotal role in advancing automation frameworks. And then we have Francisco Di Bartolomeo. He's a test discipline lead in Endava. Francisco has broad expertise in multiple aspects of software testing, passionate about leadership and driving quality at every stage. He works to enhance processes and deliver exceptional results. Francisco lives by the mantra, quality is a habit, and spreads that idea by fostering a culture of collaboration and excellence. And last, we have got Rajesh Krishnan, who is the Chief Product Officer at Azure QA and also the Managing Partner at Accolade Consulting. Rajesh Krishnan, a visionary leader with years of testing and quality assurance experience. Under his guidance, Accolade has evolved into a global IT consulting leader with a focus on Oracle applications testing. Rajesh's expertise led to the creation of an advanced testing lab catering to ERP applications like HCM and financials. And with that, can we please welcome, with applause, our fabulous panelists today. We definitely want to hear a lot from you today. I've got a few questions, and just before we get into the questions and pass the mic around, if you all have any questions, hold that off till the end of the session, and whoever asks the questions gets to take the stress ball, okay? And also, just a quick reminder, there's going to be a final question that's going to get a gift. So pay attention. Okay, so our topic, which is, building team buy-in for a new automation framework or tool, definitely communication plays a massive role, right? So something to talk about, I think, is more important in our panel today is about communication strategies. How do you tailor your messaging for different stakeholders? For example, developers, testers, management, exec management, senior management. So how do you do that, or how have you done that? Because definitely you all have. How have you all done that? What has really worked for you? Who wants to go first? Anyone? Francisco?
Sharda to get a hotfix.
Hotfix here? Hi, can you hear me? Awesome.
Thank you so much.
I guess the most important part here is the tailoring on this communication, because every stakeholder has a different need. So and it happened to me that I went to a presentation having a beautiful template, having a beautiful speech, but no one after the presentation retained because I was very focused on the what and not probably on the why and thinking of what's the purpose and the benefit for everyone. So I guess the most important one here is understanding the benefit for testers, for developers, for managers, and try to create a specific communication for each, even though it's in the same presentation, but for everyone to get understanding of what's the key benefit of, in this case, for example, if we're moving from one tool to the other or implementing a complete new tool, it could be a cost benefit, it could be ease of use, it could be different things that may provide, again, benefits to each of everyone that's hearing that.
Perfect. So keep it general, keep it neutral,
yes,
so that every audience gets it, understands it, right?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you, Francisco.
If I can just add on to that, can you hear me? And I think it also depends on the different personas as well. Like say, if it's from a tester's point of view, especially if it's a manual tester, they'll always have the angst of, am I going to retain my job? And what's my job going to be transformed into? But when it comes from a management stakeholder perspective, it's probably return on investment. Okay, why replace all of these or replace or complement some of these manual testers into having automated? So I guess, like Francisco said, it's a slightly different messaging, and especially from a tester's point of view, you've got to be so sensitive when it comes to jobs and stuff. Like we've heard, I think a couple of years ago, it was RPA. Like, is that going to take off my BAU kind of role? But now we don't hear much of RPA. We see and hear a lot of AI and machine learning and things like that. So things are transforming, right? And transforming at a very fast pace.
Thank you so much, Rajesh. Anyone else want to dwell on communication strategies? What works well? Yep, Shraddha.
So I think what worked well for us is we've seen quality is now everyone's responsibility. It's not just testers' job. So yes, in the past, we were focusing testers, and that was where your market base was. But right now, you should also, following the microns model, right? So you want to start quality at the developer's space. So if, for instance, your automation tool is also helping them, you probably want to also pitch it to them in a way that it's helpful for them, and maybe also, how it's going to benefit them or how it's going to be in the CI/CD or something like that. So I think that's also pivotal in addition to what Rajesh just called out.
So true. Thank you so much, Shraddha. Sriram.
So I have, I agree mostly with what other panelists said, right? So the only thing is, I think we do need to tailor heavily, right, based on the audience. And I always look at it as, say, looking through a microscope, right? It's the same thing that you look through the microscope. Depending on the amount of zoom that you're doing, you're going to see different things, right? So you're going to go all the way down. I'm going to get it wrong for sure, but maybe you're going to see it at cell level, you're going to see it at mitochondrial level, or maybe you look it up and you're going to see just dust, right? So, but for each level of audience, they want to know the information at that level, right? So you need to have all of that information in a pack, but it's one of the favorite techniques I use when doing presentations is, say I have a deck and there's some certain visuals that are there, and you click a button, what happens is like a little, a glass falls over, kind of, right? It's like a pane, and it's like a subtle color. Let's say it's a pink color that falls, and suddenly what you do is you're showing a few different things, which is probably going to highlight, okay, the same thing, but this is going to give you all these kind of cost benefits, right? The same thing you can put in and say, oh, these are the quality benefits that you get in, right? These are the people benefits you're going to get, right? It takes, a lot of hard work to get that right. But then if you want to do something difficult, like, bring in a new tool, right, or a framework, you got to put in the effort, yeah.
So true. Thank you for sharing that, Sriram. I might steal that.
Yep.
Well, I've already got automation. We have already got automation in LinFox. And while talking about LinFox, hi guys. Hey. We do have automation in our space. In our space. And I've already done a bit of it. But for everything else, I think I'm going to steal that idea. Well, we can look at another question, and that is understanding team dynamics. Yeah. how will AI or automation testing impact our jobs? A question that probably makes us think, all of us, you know. And of course, at the back end, we all have at some point in time, maybe not now, we are much more aware of where we are headed, but sometime, you know, we do think about these things. So how will AI automation or AI automation testing impact our jobs? What are your thoughts on this? Anyone? Yeah, Sridhar.
I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's going to impact us all significantly, right? But having said that, it need not be significantly adversely impact all of us. It can significantly impact us for the better, right? So all the Gen AI capabilities that has come, all that is done is make boilerplate stuff easier to do. That's it, right? So you still, even if you go back to the previous one about, hey, look, I want to put a presentation together. So you can get the generic stuff of, hey, look, I want to prepare a presentation to sell automation. What do you need to do? I'd go to Gen AI and it'll give me, 10 points already and says, hey, here's how you group it. But you're going to still have to validate and say, what is applicable to your organization? How do I still present it, right? So it has made my job easier on that front. What it means is I can actually put more thought into what only I can bring in, right? So the sooner we all are able to embrace it, right, rather than be fearful of it, so to speak, we know that it is not going to get 100% right? So yes, there are platforms out there which is bringing significant capabilities, including say mine. I won't pitch it here, but having said that, still all that is doing is it is making the harder part, which is the boring part, easier to do, so you can do more of the fun part in a more depth, right? So that's my take on it.
Yeah, my take is slightly different. Just before the advent of calculators, right, we were doing everything manually. Calculators does not mean that you can't do manual automation, manual addition, subtraction, for example. What I think is AI has come and automation is there, so it's going to automate and help automate all the tasks. So if you're looking at API automation, for instance, it'll do the validations, but you still need a tester. You need exploratory testing. You need to test the edge cases. A tester is required. I mean, the quality function and the tester function still remains. It makes our life easier, I think, and with technology, I think that's what is there, right? With every facet of technology that came in, it helps us, but I don't think it's going to replace us.
Awesome.
Yeah, probably adding to that, I think this is my personal opinion. AI is a tool, and it should be used as a tool. It's another tool that we can use on a daily basis. We are still in the early stages of AI also, so we actually don't know how bigger it's going to get and where it's going to be in, I don't know, in a couple of years. Next iteration from ChatGPT is going to be incredible. But again, I think AI has to be considered as a tool, and then with that, explore more options. I like your expression, to have more fun and use that tedious work for AI.
Fair enough. Rajesh, any thoughts around it?
I think very similar sort of, I guess, it just complements your day-to-day activities. The old adage of, why do you have a washing machine, you still have, a few creases here and there, maybe, chuck it again in the washing machine or do a hand wash, for instance, at the end of it. So you still have to have a little bit of a push, So I guess it just complements. It doesn't, and probably manual tester may transform their roles going forward. So it's never going to replace. You still need the cognitive skills that a human brings in, which AI may or may not bring in. Who knows? So yeah.
So true. And Rajesh, I really liked how you said that it complements us. So I think there's no better way to describe it. Thank you so much, guys, for that question. You want to talk a little louder?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's a little, yeah. The next question is around overcoming resistance. So what common objects do teams have when adopting new automation tools? Can you share probably a specific example of resistance that you have faced and how you overcame it?
I can take a start at that. I think when we move tools some of the challenges that we've seen is the ease of use. As we move, we see that if you're going to, say, an open source, if I was a pure play tester from 10 years ago, I'd probably do a record and play, and maybe if I was using an open source, the comfort level, the upskilling that I have to pull, the effort that I have to put in to upskill myself, and then learn the new tool. Anything new, right? If I'm not open to change, I think that's where that sort of a resistance is there. But I guess if you had proper training or proper coaching or a smaller team who could, prototype it, it's easier to get that buy-in.
I think one important thing is resistance is going to be there because it's human nature, moving to one tool to the other or implementing a new tool, moving out of the comfort zone. It's inevitable that we are going to have resistance or people, or in any case, in any tool that we are working. So, I don't know, in my case, for example, one of the things that I had most is the skills. We are we're implementing a new test automation tool that is C#, Appium. It's a complex solution, so it needs a skills base, an important skill base. So that was one of the main resistance, for example, that we had in that project. But again, every resistance has a solution. So we have to face that resistance, understand that, and then act on it.
No. Thank you, Francisco. Sriram?
Yeah, sorry. See, I think Tolstoy, if I'm not wrong, said all happy families are happy the same way, right? All unhappy families are, unhappy for different reasons. So resistance is the same, right? So you are going to get resistance most of the cases, but everyone's got their own reason. So it's going to be, it's unlikely the whole team's going to resist for the same reason, right? So if I take a personal example, 4 years ago when I think 5 years ago now, right, anyway, right? When I took over a team, there were about 60 testers. We had 40 developers, 60 testers. Yeah. The ratio was skewed. So you look at it, and I try to understand what was happening. There's a whole lot of manual testing, right? So we looked at, say, hey, look, I think automation can greatly benefit us. Now, I got a whole range of reasons, right? So there are people who genuinely wanted to automate, but they're like, hey, look, it's technically complex, so I don't have the skills for it, right? If you can, teach me, upskill me correctly, yes, I'm up for it, right? There are people who are like, hey, look, I'm already too busy, right? Now, I don't think, even if you give me training, I don't think I can get away from it, right? There are people who are like, I don't think this can be done because we've always done it this way, and every time we've tried, it's failed, right? And on the other, end is, hey, this is my silo. If I open up and if I give it, then my job is at risk, right? So now, what you do is you just, have to work through each of them individually, right? So each of those groups, it takes, time and patience, but you got to go and say, most of the time carrot works. Sometimes you got to take a stick, right? So hey, to the end of the spectrum where who were very rich, I had to go and say, it's going to happen, right? You get on board, you get yourself upskilled, you're better off for it. If not, unfortunately, right? It's the nature of the business. So.
And I think it's our responsibility as well, or whoever is probably leading the team or leading the project, it's our responsibility to message it out correctly, to also ensure that the person who is going to undergo the change is actually comfortable with the change. So it's part our responsibility as well. Yeah.
Just to add on, it's also important to be mindful and bring them into the journey and share the facets of the benefits of sorts. Because yes, they are putting the extra effort, but I guess you need to also show them the carrot stick, for example, and then bring them into the journey. I think that's very important.
Yep. So true. Love it. Bring them on the journey.
It just reminded me, like what Sriram was saying, I think the timing of the resistance also matters. Because if you go and talk to a project manager who's in-flight project and then say, look, let's automate, that's another added on task that he or she doesn't want to take on behalf of the team. So they say, look, we don't want it right now, but we can do it at the end. But then that end, the goalpost keeps moving. Yeah. Then one release comes, another release comes. So there's no, if you ask me what's a good time, it's like investment. Like you invest into a property, they say, okay, now or later, I think every time is a good time to invest, really. And the same thing with automation as well. Like say, and then you start going to the concept of shift left and things like that. So you might as well do it now, as opposed to the more you keep it, new technologies, new things come in. So yeah, there's going to be resistance, like one of the guys mentioned. It's going to be there always.
So the message that I get from everyone or every thing that you all have shared is that we shouldn't give up. Yeah.
No.
We're going to have resistance. We're going to have someone saying that, hey, it's not going to happen, not today, but hey, it's going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah, we are testers, give up.
Exactly. Yes, yeah. Okay, the other bit, and this is tied to the resistance part too, is that training and support, and how do we do that? So what training or resources do you believe are essential to ensure smooth adoption of a new automation framework? And what has worked for you? Sriram?
Okay, sure. So first thing is you got to plan the training as part of the rollout planning already. So most of the cases what happens is tool selection, framework selection gets all the attention, right? So you go do all your dance, wherever you have to do to get it on board, all of that, and say, all right, we're going to start. We need to train people, right? Well, see, every tool, whatever tool there is, I'm sure there is, they would have proper training material available, right? Could be in-house training, they could have online training, they have materials, whatever it is, right? Every open source framework, they have the right training available, right? They have material available. So the first most important thing is when you're picking something, factor in the training plan of how are we going to train people for it. So if we said that, if we kept that in mind while planning the rollout, everything else is just a matter of figuring out. So maybe tailoring the training specific to your team, right? Maybe yes, if you take open sources, it's a wide version of material available. Maybe just pick and choose and put a wiki page and say, for us only these are the articles relevant, right? Start here. But
Absolutely. Thank you, Sriram.
Yep.
Sharda? Cool.
Yep. So I work in Telstra, and Telstra is an enterprise. The way we do adoption of toolings is slightly different because we have to do a rollout at a wider scale. So what we do is we have a team, which is a tooling team, which picks up the tool, which gets everything done for us. Like it does the security, it does the adoption, it just puts the plan together for us. So it does the CI/CD, it does the Bamboo, it does everything. And then what they do is then they seek for enablers. They seek for people who could come and do an experiment with them, for example, right? So you could use the tool, and the tool may not fit you. That's fine, but the tool might fit someone else. And then there are tools which will fit you, and then we celebrate that. And then in addition to after that, and once that is there, we then go on to what Sriram was saying about the training plan and how to upskill. Because I think we are a crowd where we follow. Like if there's a success story, we kind of lean onto it. If they could do it and if they are reaping benefits, maybe I should go on the bandwagon too. So it's addictive. I think that's how we do it at our place.
Sweet. Yeah, thank you for sharing.
Yeah, and I think in this adoption, as you mentioned, the training should be part as not to be a reactive after we select the tool, we decide what we are going to do, and then we figure out, okay, but the people don't know how to do it. It should be included in this part to be proactive, to be in the same spot. One thing that happened in my company in Endava, that we have a culture of pass it on. So what we do is we have people that take ownership of some trainings or some tools, and then spread the information in different communities, in different places. But we discovered that by people taking ownership of things, they are more predisposed, are more proactive to share this information, to incorporate this information, these skills, and this knowledge within the teams. That's something that helped us a lot.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks, Francisco. Rajesh, any thoughts?
I think from my experience, training is like a double-edged sword. Like, when you go into an organization of course, we know test automation, like inside out, but we don't probably understand the business domain. So if you're going to a finance world, for instance, so it's a cross-skilling as well. So our testers need to know how the finance dynamics works, the compliance, the governance, and all of that from a finance perspective, and then they need to know how the tooling works. So it's a, you kind of cross-skill each other, I guess. So you can't say, okay, just because they don't know test automation doesn't mean that they don't know their domain. And the same thing for us. We don't understand their domain. So it could be in a finance world, it could be health, it could be so many different. So I think we as we work as a team, we cross-skill each other.
No, that's perfect. Thank you.
Just add one point, right? So I think this is specific to open source kind of framework, etc. Is so if you go with a tool, usually tools have certifications, so it's easier to kind of measure, right? How far along the journey you are. But if you're having, you're adopting an open source kind of approach, it's really important right at the beginning to set your own certification mechanisms, right? How are you going to measure that someone's actually trained themselves, right? It's a custom effort that you have to build in, but that's something definitely good to factor in.
Thank you, Sriram. And that ties in really well with what Francisco just mentioned, and that was being reactive. I think we shouldn't be reactive. We should plan better. I think that's the crux of this. Thank you so much, guys. Next one is a very interesting question. Measuring success. We all want to do that, right? We all want to prove, or we all want to let people know what's the return on investment for our automation framework at all times. It's literally a daily process. We are testers. We send out daily status reports. So, measuring success, how can teams celebrate quick wins to maintain enthusiasm and momentum during the transition, let's say, from manual testing to automation testing?
I guess I could take that. So some of the projects that we work is, where we've got package applications like Salesforce, Oracle, and so on, where they've got consistent bills coming in, either on a quarter basis or, in some cases even monthly basis. So, how many hours of testing, manual testing time you're logging as opposed to when you have automated testing. And you got a lot of platforms and tools out there where you run testing over a weekend, or after hours and things like that. So at 5 o'clock, you get someone pushing code into the test environment. Unless you come back next morning, you can't test it. So you have, test automated tests where you can run it overnight. So those are the things that, that's immediate benefit for you straight away. So when you come back on the next day, you have feedback.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more. Yep.
So if you put that into a matrix format, there you go.
Yep. No, thank you. Awesome. Anyone else? Francisco?
Yeah, I think also this relates a little bit with the first question, and it depends what success means to different stakeholders. Because we can define quick wins for the testing team, for the developers, for the managers, for the POs, whoever. So it's important, and again, it's related to the previous question, to plan and to think of what are the quick wins that we want to share and to whom. Because yes, having a quick feedback, I think, is one of the most important. But probably for the testers, the quick feedback is not the quick win that they want to address, but is the ease of use or the simplicity or the time that they can spend on manual exploratory testing, not depending on doing regular or tedious things. So I guess, again, it's all part of the context, and it's more complex than just one quick win in my mind, because we need to take care of the whole spectrum.
No, can't agree more.
So it's 100%. So that's what I was going to go for, is measure what matters. And you set a business case to get automation in. Everyone could have had different reasons. If your reason was to get, I wanted to reduce a test cycle from 3 months to, 6 weeks, that is what then you're measuring, right? So you're measuring at every smaller interval, right? And say, look, what used to take us 3 weeks is now 2.5 weeks. You say 3 days, right? Or if you set out to say, hey, look, we had so many defects sneaking into production, we want to reduce that. So that's why you want to measure. So there is this standard metric. So, every tool framework will spit out test case executed, hours of execution, all of that, right? So it is, in a way, meaningless if that's not what you're looking for. What ultimately I'm looking for at a senior exec level is I'm putting 3 mil into this, 5 mil into this. What I want is, 10 less P1 defects, right? Then that is the only data point that matters, right? You whatever you do, you're going to go and say, first, say quarter where you've reduced one less P1. You go, you sing a song and dance about it, right? Shout from the rooftops, hey, one less P1 this quarter. all right? Then you get more investment to the more, yeah.
I couldn't agree more on that. Visibility is a key factor here. And things change so rapidly that we have to ensure whatever quick wins we are getting, we are letting people know, or we are letting those who matter know about it. So do that. Don't shy away from it, yeah? It does matter, and it does make a massive difference.
Yeah.
Next one is, again, we all have very interesting questions, guys. Long-term engagement. How do you ensure ongoing buy-in? And this is very relative to our topic today. How do you ensure ongoing buy-in and engagement from the team once the tool is implemented? Sriram?
It ties to the previous answer. If you're successful and you know it, you want to do better, right? So it's like you go to the gym, I think, right? People say that. To me, I haven't,
yeah.
But when you go to the gym and you go and say, hey, look, this week I lifted this much, and next week I've lifted another kg, another kg, and if you're able to talk about it, right, then everyone's saying, oh, look, maybe I will push a little bit more and lift 5 more. Francisco can tell me, looks like he can do it, so maybe that's true, right? But that's all it is, right? So it's publicize the wins, make sure the teams, that comms is there about good news. I would even say, sometimes lie, right? So you say you look outside, right? All companies put out, and this is what you were saying before, is everyone announces great things. So every single organization out there publishes, I've done this, I've signed this new customer, I've delivered this great project, I've got the savings, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm sure they are achieving some moderate things as well. You don't hear about it, right? So same way, just make sure every little thing every little win that is there is a channel for the team to see that's happening, and automatically they have the buy-in because they feel like they're part of the team that's succeeding, right?
How would you maintain it though? Because we're talking about long-term engagement. How would you maintain that visibility? So you need the engagement from the team. So what that means is, what will inevitably happen is when you start, you're going to have some champions, right? Now, the champions are really keen, so they're going to invest a lot into it, and they're going to always be the ones that are bringing things to your attention, right? There has to be a conscious effort to build your next level of champions, right? So it has to be someone else who's able to come up and say, and you could have your, lunch and learn sessions, and you could have your brown bag sessions, you can have your, just go and say, talk to your the director or whoever that is and say, hey, look, what I want to do is, every month I want 15 minutes of your time, and take the team, and the team says, hey, here's a win-win-win, and once someone steps up and says, hey, look, by the way, this is what I did personally, right? And so we did that once. We started monthly, it became too hard. We ended up at 8-week intervals, right? But having said that, it was still good because you could go along, you have a 40-member team, and you go and say, everyone would, get a chance to speak, and that kind of keeps that ongoing momentum. But it's a lot of effort as a leader to do it. So you gotta have a plan for it. You can't do
make
it
sure
all.
you're at it.
Yes.
Just in addition to what you were saying, the other thing we do also is, in addition to embracing all the successes and shouting on top of our voices the wins, we also have a culture where we do a lot of experimentation. Say someone's come to the conference and they find something and they want to probably do a POC on it, for instance. I think we need to embrace that culture as well, because that's when you might find the new spark there. You might find the next big idea there. And that is a culture I think we need to move towards, because yes, we're talking of shift left, but you never know where the next idea is. So I think that's also a pivotal thing that you should probably embrace.
Yep.
I think just to add to some of that, I think what we are saying here is a very common theme, which is feedback. And it doesn't have to always be wins. You can also go to your management and talk about challenges and say, look, out of this 10 items, I've got 80% done, but I've got this 20% which I'm going to keep it for a later point in time. So it makes it look real. It's not always just showcasing the wins. You got to say, okay, you have to be honest, hand on your heart, and say, look, I've got these 2 items which I've kept it, and it requires more thinking, more analysis, and blah blah blah. So I think keep the comms going and keep it very honest, and especially with your senior execs who are throwing in the money.
Yep, absolutely, couldn't agree more on that one as well. I would like to actually jump on to the next question, and I'm sure you guys would have definitely really good thoughts about this. So, future trends, and I think we have spoken about it throughout the day today. What emerging trends in automation do you think will impact team buy-in strategies in the future? What emerging trends in automation do you think will impact team buy-in strategies in the future?
The one obvious answer is generative AI. I can't think of anything else. Generative AI is the only thing I can think of, right? So that is front of everyone's mind now. That is going to be the thing for the next, it's going to play out over the next 2-3 years. And that is what is going to significantly define a lot of decisions organizations are going to take. Not just at testing tool level, it's at organization level, there's going to be a lot of thought put into it. So at least from where I'm sitting, I can't see past that as a Gen AI. It's right here for me. So
true.
For me, what I think is with advent of, generative AI, predictive AI, and also the fact that we're shifting left and quality being everyone's responsibility, I think the tools will be not just focused on testing as a community, it will be focused on engineering as a community, because I think our jobs are getting changed or is in the transit phase, I'm not sure. So probably 10 years from now, you'll probably not, the testing conference will have a bunch of engineers rather than testers.
It's all going to merge.
Yeah, it may merge, and so I think the tools and the buy-in strategies obviously will not be like the way it is right now. That's what I feel.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. I think AI is the next big thing. Is the big thing now, and is going to expand. Probably the most important thing is going to be how we are going to apply AI in our daily basis, and that's very interesting. It can be applied for creating new test cases, to from a user story, have a suit already there to identify things on the screen, on the go, to make it easier and not block people. So I think AI, yes, is the tool, but how it's going to be implemented, I think we are not yet on knowing exactly how we are going to maximize that in testing, at least in automation. Right now we're talking. That's the most important part, and it's inevitable. It's going to grow, and I think it's depending on our creativity, how we are going to get that involved in our project, in our tools.
Excellent. Thank you, Francisco. Rajesh, any last thoughts?
I was just trying to think if I can't use the 2-letter words, AI, there's nothing else I can think about.
So true.
So I'll probably stick to artificial intelligence, just to be a bit smart about it.
Okay. No,
but I can't
enough.
think of anything else,
Fair enough.
Yeah.
No, fair enough. And I think it's a perfect time to take some good questions from our audience. Yes.
One thing you haven't considered is low-code, no-code tools, and AI is enabling a lot of them. And I was at API Days yesterday, which was the other end of this conference centre, and there was a company from Finland called Friend, F-R-E-N-D, that apparently have got a lot of market share in Europe, and it's basically business process modelling that then gets turned into code. And so the business users can look at the business process flows, and then they hit some buttons and that becomes code. And so it's sort of AI enabling no-code tools.
Interesting.
you should come see us at AxleQ booth, right? We'll show you how you take that and you test it. That's it. So,
Well, thank you so much, sir, for sharing that with us. I wish I could get a mic, which I can see Cam is sitting right over there. We have a question from that side of the room. Yes, we need to. Sorry, I forgot the drill over here. So we're going to throw a ball. Are you okay to catch it? Okay. Oh, my God. Okay. Okay, that's going to happen quite a bit. Everyone's going to do that. Yeah, no, that's for you. Yeah, we've got.
Francisco, that's yours, yeah?
That's yours.
Sorry. You're probably the only one who will
Testing.
I can.
What's your name? No, yeah.
Francisco.
Francisco.
No, her.
Sharda.
So with all the restructuring going on, do you think the testing is being more sped up at Telstra, or it's being slowed down. What do you think of the testing so far, that department?
Sorry, you're asking restructure and testing.
Yeah. Just I was reading on the news about a lot of changes at Telstra. Has the testing increased a lot or decreased a lot?
The restructure has not been focused on testing. The restructure is company-wide, so when they do a restructure, it's not focused on testing. Testing, I think, is more driven on the business initiatives and how you capacity plan it. So it's not entirely dependent, if you know what I mean. No worries.
Thank you.
I'll try my skills at you.
Yes.
Come on. Oi, oi. Hey.
This is more for waking people up. No.
This is mine.
Yours? Okay.
I don't mind what the question is.
Another thing I want to contribute is no one has touched on is post-learning, post-ramp-up or adoption of a tool is enforcement or adoption of best practice. Because what happens with a new tool, with everyone, that's not something bad, is you implement the tool, and if you ask any questions, there is no reason for the implementation other than that I followed an online course. And the best example is like using BDD. I've used it in the past. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of it. And I ask, why did we use BDD? It enhances and non-technical people can read my... Okay, how many non-technical people read your code? None. The real answer is the online course did this. And that's why I have this cookie cutter. So what you end up is functional but a messy framework. I think post pickup, and once we agreed on, we have to enforce best practices. There's great documentations. It's always documentation of a language or a framework is always neglected. We always go to YouTube, Udemy, which I do, but we have to enforce best practice to have this continuity of picking up a tool.
Got it.
Yeah.
Cam, looks like you have got your next year's panelist. What was your question, sir?
There's a ball for you here.
Okay. Well, we can. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
We have very few minutes left. How about we take one question from that side of the room? Yes, in red, pink. Sorry, Cam, I'm making you run.
No, that's okay.
Francisco, it may be just in my range. Anything beyond, I think.
Hello, my name is Nidhi. So I have a very similar question, very relatable. Since we have been talking about shifting left, and then we have been talking about quality is not only QA's responsibility, I want to know from all of you how much easier it is to convince the non-technical people or the technical people other than the QAs in the team to contribute towards the quality of the project. How
Awesome.
easy is it for all of you? Or is it
It's
me
not.
only struggling?
It's not. Yeah.
Who wants to go for that?
I
A quick
can-
short answer.
I can start with that, yes. I think, let's start from the beginning. Testing was never the responsible of quality. We are quality enablers. We are a cog on the software development lifecycle. So if it's used to be like we are seen as the responsible of quality, actually the mindset is incorrect. So that's the first thing that needs to change. Shift left, shift right, a lot of try to be quality advocate more than just a tester, I think is from our side first. However, quality is embedded in the product. So everyone should be aware and should be adhere to quality. And that's the most difficult part, to change that mindset. How it can be done, and there's a lot of different tools or workshops or different explanations. But again, we are starting from an, in my mind, incorrect conception.
Yeah. And the thing is, look, we are not starting from scratch. So we are in a much better place. Yeah? Well, I think we have almost come to the end. Let's ask a... Oh, yes.
Close one.
Almost. Fabulous.
Almost.
Okay. So We have one question from our group, and that is, what was the first topic or theme that we spoke about? Come on.
Close, no?
Communication, I heard it first, sorry. There you go. But communication strategies, that's right. Excellent. Well, and that brings us to the end of our session, our panel. Thank you so much, all of y'all. It was just fabulous talking to y'all, and I hope y'all enjoyed it. Have a good evening.
Thank you very much.